Hi. I don't make videos very often showing my face. I don't really like to do videos, and I don't really like to take pictures, oddly. Um, I'm going to try to do more videos because I do have some quality content that I probably should be putting out. So I'm going to try to do better with that. Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about forgiveness. And I think I'm fairly qualified to talk about forgiveness because I have been through a lot in my life, many things that I have had to forgive. And I'm going to talk about something specifically, and I'm going to be as quick as I can. Um, I've been thinking a lot lately about forgiveness with fences. And what I mean by that is forgiveness itself is good. It's very good to forgive people when they have harmed you, when they've offended you. Sometimes people do really terrible things, and sometimes the offenses are minor. But I'm going to use one example from my life. When I was 23, quite a long time ago, I was pregnant. So when I was 6 months pregnant, I was on my on my way home from work, and I had just arrived outside my apartment complex. And it was like March, and it was in Maryland, so just outside of Washington, D.C. And it was still really cold. I think it was like March the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, I was taking my time. I had a little TCBY yogurt shake that I was sipping on as I was getting out of my car. And I was walking towards my apartment, and somebody brushed past me, like pushed past me. It was a teenage boy. So I didn't think much of it. And then right behind that, another one came behind me and started pulling on my purse. So then they both were attacking me at 6 months pregnant, trying to take my purse. And so my first thought was that I didn't want them to take my purse. I didn't have that much money. I think I had $30, but the point, it was my $30, and so I was just acting on instinct. I didn't want them to have my purse. So I was resisting, and in resisting, one of them pulled back his arm and hit me in the mouth, and I fell to the ground, and my lip just right here. So I have a permanent scar inside and out. But anyway, so I fell to the ground, and my lip just busted wide open. So I'm on the ground, and I'm in the middle of this violence that had been acted upon me. And so they just took my purse and ran. So it was an apartment complex in the city, or basically outside of the city was Arnold, Maryland, which is right outside of Washington, D.C. Anyway, so I'm screaming, help me, help me, somebody help me. I'm terrified, and I'm 6 months pregnant. No one came outside to help me. I was alone. And so after probably maybe 20, 30 seconds of screaming for help, I just stopped screaming, and I picked myself up. I had a winter white coat on, and I had blood like all over this coat. And so I wasn't far from my apartment. I did have my keys because I had them in my pocket. So I just grabbed my keys, and I was able to get into my apartment, and I went inside, and I called a friend of mine, and I called 911. And then when I was talking to my friend, she was giving me advice on what she thought I should do. And I said, well, I didn't want to go in an ambulance, even though I was really injured. So she said she would come and get me and take me to the emergency room. So the EMS people did come, and only then did anybody come outside. Only when the EMS came. I know they heard me screaming. Not one person came out. But when EMS were there and the police were on the scene, people came out to see what had happened. So anyway, I went to the emergency room, and the nature of my injury was so extreme that the emergency room physician thought that I needed a plastic surgeon. So they called in a plastic surgeon to restitch my lip. So I had to have stitches on the inside and the outside. So needless to say, I looked a little bit different than I do now. So I was 23, and I was pregnant with my eldest daughter, who just turned 35 this year. So you do the math. Anyway, so the point of what I'm talking about is the boys harmed me, and for several years I had PTSD. Basically, I couldn't go anywhere without looking over my shoulder. I was always looking over my shoulder everywhere I went. I always had this little bit of fear inside of me because of that experience. And eventually one day I realized that I didn't have the fear quite the way I had had it previously. So I guess the PTSD, I can't talk today, guys, I'm sorry. The PTSD aspect of the experience, I guess, had kind of worn itself out. So I had to kind of forgive the incident. I didn't know the boys, so I couldn't, I can't hold a grudge against some boys that I don't know. So I had to forgive the incident in order to be able to move forward in my life and not be in fear all of the time. I had to take the lesson from the event in order to continue with my life. I had to take the lesson. The lesson was pay attention. Wherever you are, pay attention. You don't know who's around you. When you're doing something and you're preoccupied, people might be looking at you to see if you're the right one that they can target. So I was targeted. And once the pain, the physical pain, and the little bit of hurt that I had, that I was victimized in that way, and that I was pregnant, so I was very fearful for my baby at the time. So I think that if I was upset about anything, I wanted to make sure that my baby was protected. And then just to throw this in really quickly to add to that, she was a very fearful child and young adult for the longest time. So anyway, things that happen when they're in the womb can also affect them later on. So that's just a sidebar. Anyway, I just want to get back to the point of forgiving the action, the harm that was done to me, and taking the lesson was something that I had to do to be able to move forward in my life. But on the flip side, what if these were people that I had known? What if I knew them? What if they weren't strangers and they had harmed me? I have been harmed by loved ones in different ways in my life as a younger person. And so forgiveness is different when it's someone that is in a role of importance in your life. But the lesson is still the same. You have to be able to forgive people in order to move forward from something. So forgiveness allows you to move forward. That doesn't mean you have to be their friend. That doesn't mean you have to be chatty, friendly, chummy with people. But forgiveness is for you, and I'm sure people have heard that a lot. Forgiveness is for you when you have been harmed by someone. So I like to say forgiveness with fences. And by that, I mean It's good to forgive people, but know where to put your boundaries, know where to put your stakes, know what to pay attention to, know what the lesson is, and be able to separate the pain of an incident, or if it's multiple incidents, be able to separate the pain of an incident from the lesson that can be derived from the incident. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I hope that that can help someone. It took a while for me because I have had many things happen, but that one in my pregnancy, um, that was extreme, and I was, I was in my early 20s, and so it took a while. So anyway, I hope everyone's having a wonderful day, and that I hope that there was something positive there that I was able to share that someone can benefit from. So bless you. Have a great day.